8:30. I'd like to call to order our regular meeting. Please, if you're able, stand and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next I would look for a motion to approve our agenda.
I move approval of the agenda with the HR Human Capital Addendum.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Robin and seconded by Seth. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 And any opposed, same sign. Okay, next we will move on to our recognition of the audience. At this time, the board will hear comments from the public. We ask that each speaker who is signed up to address the board state their name and home school district for the record. Speakers must refrain from using this forum to criticize or complain about a specific employee or student by name. Vulgar or profane language will not be tolerated. The board is interested in your comments and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond to or debate issues in this forum. This evening, one speaker has signed up to address the board. This speaker will be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. Upon conclusion of the allotted time, a chime will sound and the speaker is asked to conclude. If necessary, a final chime will sound 15 seconds later, signifying the end of the speaker's time at the podium. I will now call our only speaker to the podium, Devin Stachinsky.
Hello, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I sure did. I did a lot of manual labor on the farm for my old man, sadly. First things first, I noticed you guys put up the page for, so you're going to run for office for school board, that has some of the functions of the board. Only one part that I found a bit, I wouldn't say untrue, but could use a little rewording, and it's the last bullet where it says that you guys make yourselves available to respond to public comment and question and what have you. And I know that some people don't ever get a response from you, so I mean, that's something that should be addressed. Memo 79, going back and listening to the governance meetings, it was a little unclear the reason all of a sudden out of nowhere for this particular change. Like, I get its intent and good intent, but the previous wording was fine. Memo 78, the audit report, on pages, they're marked pages 95 and 96, but they're like pages 102 and 103 in the file. It has your income and expenditures, and 5 out of the last 6 years it indicates that you guys overspent, which in the last 6 years you also had COVID, where you chased all the students and teachers out of the buildings for over a year. So how could your operating costs still be that high when you weren't utilizing the buildings? Like, where did that money go? I guarantee you didn't have the, heaters on full blast like you're going to at the end of this week when it gets real cold, because nobody was there. So it makes me wonder, like, how did that all shake out? Because the audit report, will say one thing, but you can make a report say anything. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our report section. I was given notice that the FEA will not have a report tonight, so I'll turn to our administration report if we have one.
Thank you. The only report today is that, as board members may be aware, we are engaging in multiple avenues to get community and staff and student feedback on our long-range facilities planning process. So tonight kicks off the first of 3 community meetings that we have at each of our 3 comprehensive high schools. But then we will also be launching a survey that will take a good portion of this month as well, so be on the lookout for that. We have a steering committee of individuals that have been working with our consultants on long-range facility planning. They are very agile and nimble in terms of taking the feedback that is shared with them and then updating the plans accordingly based on the feedback that's been provided. So we really hope that people will share their feedback so we can capture that community voice as we move forward with our long-range facility planning.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Gandhi? All right, moving on to our consent agenda, I would look for a motion to approve it.
I move approval of the consent agenda with the human capital addendum. Second.
All right, thanks. Moved by Robin and seconded by Namal. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Okay, any opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Motion passes. We'll move on to our only item of business that comes to us through memo 78. Jim, if you can hear us and would be so kind as to introduce it, I will yield to you.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you can hear me. Am I coming through?
Yes.
Thank you. We reviewed the 2023 audit report at our planning meeting, and I'm going to provide you with a quick 10,000-foot overview of the report. Having reviewed a number of these for the last few decades, I always actually like to start at the back of the report. So those of you that have a copy, I would invite you to turn to page 136. What you'll find on page 136 is the summary of the auditor's report, basically the report card that we received from the auditor for our fiscal reporting and accounting for 2023. And you'll notice that we have an unmodified report or report card listing, and unmodified is exactly what we'd like to see. In other words, the auditor found nothing that they thought should be changed from a perspective of government accounting standard practices. There were no material weaknesses, and there were no deficiencies in our reporting, and there were no non-compliance features under GASB. I might also point out on this page, they reviewed our federal programs and found the exact same thing, an unmodified report that we were in compliance on all avenues of the federal programs that we participate in. Before I walk you through the major highlights, which will only take a few minutes, I would like to direct your attention to page 9 in the report. On page 9 of the report, you'll discover that we received certification of excellence in financial reporting as a school district for calendar year 2022, June 30th. I personally want to thank, on behalf of the Planning Committee and me as a board member, Jackie and Joy and our entire accounting team for the work they do day in and day out and the work that led to this unmodified report. If you'll move with me to page 11, on the second paragraph, you'll actually find the auditor's opinion, and bear with me while I read it for those that might be listening at home. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements referred to the above present fairly and in all material respects the respective financial positions of the governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the district as of June 30th, 2023. Again, thank you to Jackie, Joy, and the entire team. If you'll move with me for a moment over to page 18 and 19, you'll see a big picture of our revenue and expenditures for the last calendar year. Total revenue in the door, all sources, all funds, was $227,245,984. Our expenditures were $215,599,874. Our total fund balance went up to $64,165,473, which is an increase of approximately $2 million, and about $40 million of that is actually available as undesignated that could be used. More on the fund balance in a few pages. If you'll jump over to page 23, you'll see the general fund balance itself. We'll end fiscal year 2023 with an ending fund balance of $41,078,052 in our general fund. That represents approximately 20.9% of our operating expenditures of the general fund for the fiscal year. You'll see the 10-year historic numbers there as well. And I'll just bring you to the top of that list in 2014, where our ending fund balance was $28,228,428. That too represented 20.8% of our operating fund. So in theory, over the last 10 years, although the fund balance has increased, the percentage is almost identical to where it was 10 years ago. The next page I'd bring your attention to would be on page 31, which is actually our balance sheet for the district. And it shows you all of our major funds broken out by general fund, debt service fund, capital project fund, and then cumulative other governmental funds. And you'll see the individual fund balances for each of the different funds on that page. Page 111 is kind of a future homework assignment for all of us board members, because it's a section that actually talks about debt capacity in the district. And it really looks not only at our operating debt and what we have in indebtedness currently, but it looks at the corresponding jurisdictions that overlap on our taxpayers. That would be the city, the park district, and the county. So good fodder for us all to be looking at as we start to look at the solutions that are going to come forward from the steering committee working on our long-range facility plan. And last, but certainly not least, I'd like to turn you over to page 133, where you'll actually see a report from Eide Bailly, the auditor firm, and in particular, the second paragraph clearly identifies that we are in compliance in all material respects with all of the federal requirements that we have for our funds as of fiscal year June 30th of 2023. Now, my apologies for not being there in person. So I'm going to, after I make a motion, suggest that any questions you might have be directed to Jackie if she is there. I'm hoping she is. And I'll try to stay online and can certainly try to answer, but I believe Jackie will be more adept to be taking care of detailed questions. On behalf of the Planning Committee, I'd like to make a motion that we accept and file the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year June 30th, 2023, and forward copies to the appropriate agencies as requested.
Second.
All right, thank you so much, Jim. Moved by Jim and seconded by Seth. And I'd open for discussion and questions. Yes, Robin?
This is a characteristically unexciting report. And that is exactly how we want our audit reports to be. So thank you for your efforts and your teams. Please pass that along for the board. This is what it. This really is a summary of a well-run, fiscally run organization. So thank you, Jackie.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, I would just also echo the gratitude that has been expressed. Thank you so much for this excellent report. And with that, Anne Marie, would you please call the roll?
Gullickson.
Yes.
Holden.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
Christensen.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Day.
Yes.
Brooklyn.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. So we will move on to our board reports, and let's start with you, Greg.
I don't have a whole lot to report. I had negotiations committee meetings pretty much right after our last full board meeting and right before this one, December 14th and yesterday, January 8th. And then had a planning committee meeting on December 19th.
Thank you, Katie.
I also attended the negotiations committee on the 14th, and that's all I have to report.
Great, thanks. Nikki?
Not much more to add. December 14th and January 8th negotiations committee meeting.
Great, thanks. Robin?
My loan report is December 18th, the governance committee.
Okay, thanks. Seth?
Mine's a little longer. On the 13th, I attended the Native American Education Programs celebration that they do, I believe, twice a year. It was at Discovery. And then on the 14th, negotiations committee. On the 18th, we had a governance committee meeting. On the 19th of December, we had a planning committee meeting. On the 21st, Melissa and I and Grant had a brief meeting concerning the future of negotiations. On the 4th, we had our Native American Commission meeting, and then yesterday we had a negotiations committee meeting. And I don't mean to sound redundant, but I would, if anybody is tuning in late, I would encourage everyone in the public to go and take part in our community meetings for our long range facilities plan tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night.
Great, thank you so much, Seth. Namal?
Thank you. On December 15, I was at Carl Ben. I was able to meet with the associate principals and some of the counselor. I was part of their community connect meetings. I find it very intriguing, and I get to learn about the small block, big block, and then also to way to assess and reduce the risks, and then also to before that, I think I attended it too as well, but I just wanted to make sure that I understand more what is this about, because there is a lot of nitty gritty thing that our counselor are doing each and every day, and we do not know that. And the fact that I get to sit in that meeting and get to review with them what they are doing among our students and how they're contacting their parent. And it's really bring me a great respect to them of what they're doing. I just feel sad that, not a lot of counselor are there, so because they took a lot of work in, and then also too, sometimes they barely even take breaks because they attend a lot of our student needs. And then on December 20th, I was doing brunch and lunch. That was very interesting, and it's actually very motivating. I think that I get to learn so much off of it because of mental health and what the presenter did, and it made me think twice, about what are we doing as a Fargo Public School and why are we not bringing that program in. I was very fortunate to be invited to be a panel discussion by the League of Women Voter Red River Valley with Representative George Boucher and House Representative Heather Keel from Minnesota. So that was very interesting, and I thought that was eye-openings of what is going on in our communities and around Minnesota and North Dakota, and then also to hear more about legislator from Judge Session. So I thought those were very, very crucial. And then just upcoming, I will definitely be going to Ed Clap for PTAs. I'm excited about that one. I think they have a movie night, so I'm excited. I'm pumped for it this coming week. And yeah, and then CEA this coming Friday, I guess. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Nimal. Tracy?
Yeah, thanks. Governance has met and planning has met. And I just want to give a little update. So my community liaison is with the Fargo Youth Initiative, and we've not heard a lot from them. So I was contacted by Caitlin Christie, who works she's the assistant planner for the city of Fargo, basically apologizing and saying a connection had gotten lost in their transition of their committees. So I actually ended up meeting with her, and going forward, I will start meeting with the Fargo Youth Initiative. So I will hope to bring you guys some updates. But I retrospectively wanted to update you. They had their kickoff meeting in October, and they voted to establish their top 3 focuses for this school year. The first is racial equity. So they really talked about a strategy in improving youth engagement at the City of Fargo's MLK Junior Day event this January. Their second priority is going to be youth homelessness. They're still kind of in talks about a strategy to be determined. They've connected with Jan Anderson, who works at Fargo Cass Public Health, and they're also been in contact with some of our youth homelessness agencies. And then their final one will be youth civic engagement. So they want to host a half day of Impact Fargo event with speakers and public input sessions for any area students to participate. So I'm excited, and hopefully we'll be attending their next meeting, but we've reconnected. So thanks.
Great, that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. I really don't have a lot that hasn't been mentioned. Last year.
I do.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Jim. I am so sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Please go
That's okay.
ahead.
I just realized you were starting yours, so I thought I'd better jump in. I too was at governance and planning, and mine's really short. It's just a heads up to everybody. We have a planning committee meeting on Friday at 7:30. So if you're on the committee, please make sure you can make it if possible. And that's it.
All right, thank you. And I apologize for cutting you off. It's hard to remember people
No
on the phone
problem.
sometimes. All right, so everybody has mentioned the committee meetings. And yesterday we had a negotiations committee meeting. And then as Seth mentioned, we sat down with the president of the FEA to discuss a possibility of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, an off-season negotiations committee that would collaborate kind of more school-wide to see if we could problem solve prior to sitting down at the table in an effort to kind of conserve our resources once we start the negotiation season. So nothing has been decided, so we will just kind of sit tight for our next meeting to see what we hear from the FEA and what might work or what might not work. And then, just to be overly redundant, please, if you're watching at home, try to attend one of our community feedback meetings tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, 6 to 8 at all of the high schools. So, all right, our next meeting is on January 23rd. It is 5:54 p.m. and we are adjourned.